Welcome back to Fast Money. We've got a venti-sized buzzkill for you. Howard Schultz taking back the reins at Starbucks again and sinking the stock as he suspends the company's share buyback program. So is a third time not a charm for investors? You're kind of angry about this.
Well, I mean, and by the way, that venti drip now costs you about $4, so it's not terribly cheap, and they're cranking people with higher prices. And I don't own Starbucks to be a growth company per se. I'm happy to see growth in China and growth initiatives and some of the segment growth. But the reason, look, also the other, I guess, we have a step down of the CEO because he said he was resigning. But really, this company has been terribly run. And so I'm frustrated because as a shareholder, I think Starbucks earned its way into a place where it was a predictable company in terms of both div pay, buybacks, and some sense of where U.S. comps were going to be plus or minus and where China could be upside. But to me, I think if you walk into the stores right now, I think many of them seem like they're in disarray. This is a company that would have 3 stores within a square block. This is a company that I think has not really managed their and optimized their labor force at a time when labor prices have gone through the roof. So I don't need to hear that they're going into growth initiatives, and I think that's frustrating. I want to hear about a CEO saying, "Look, our prices have gone higher. We've got to deliver a better product to the consumer." I don't, and it gets me a little concerned that they may be looking to grow in a place that I don't think Starbucks should be trying to grow.
But even those things that you mentioned in terms of getting a handle on them, maybe this move is symbolic, Karen. I mean, it's not really going to make too much of a difference. Suspending a buyback.
Suspending the buyback. Yeah, I thought about that as well. Do they have enough? Do they earn enough that they could do both? But so it's more about sending a message. We need to spend more on our stores, right? And so that makes me think, okay, they've been underspending on their stores. Is that really what happened with the prior CEO? I mean, it was always kind of vague. We never so that's interesting to me. Not a positive either that they've been underspending. It takes a long time, I think, to move the needle on a company like Starbucks. I do think he's a great steward of Starbucks, of course. Nobody knows it better. It's in his DNA. But, I mean, Tim's right to be disappointed and angry. I get it.
But this is what, like his first day on the job? I mean, what is a forward PE of 25? What is that guy to you? What should that be? Is that a growth stock? Is that a value stock?
I think it's actually, I think given, to themselves, looking at Starbucks historically, I think it's actually very attractive. The problem is, as Karen and Tim just mentioned, they're going to start spending money. You don't just flip a switch and these problems are solved. So I think there are a couple quarters of pain ahead. And, can we just play that, what do they call those things, a SOT or that thing we opened the show with? Because that was just brilliant, Mel. Did you hear that whole thing? It was great.
I thought it was kind of disturbing.
Isn't that the sound that they're going to be making for the team in the Bronx this year? I think so. Oh.
Well, no, they're not, Tim, but my point was going to be, sometimes you come back one too many times. As Melissa remembers, Billy Martin came back one too many times, and I think that's what's going on here. Great job by our crack staff, led by Sandy Kenold in EC.
Is that the right take, Dan, that he's come back one too many times? And really what Starbucks should have done is installed somebody who is younger and with fresher ideas, maybe more in touch to today's consumer.
Nah, I mean, listen, I think that I think Schultz and his board recognize that this is a very unique buzzsaw that this company is involved in. If you think about what we've been talking about, why the company deserved the multiple it had, were all these international growth opportunities, their ability to expand. So think about this. A lot of those have actually been tamped down recently. We see the dollar where it is. We see the cost of all the inputs to make their actual product, right? And then you think of that wage inflation issue. This is a real problem for them. We talked about it earlier on our call. I mean, what percentage of their cash flows go to this? Yes, I agree with Karen. It's a bit symbolic, but this might be this company on the precipice of a very important point about how they move forward here. So maybe it's all hands on deck here, and I wouldn't put it past this guy to make the really tough decisions. And if anyone's going to do it, it's probably got to be him.
Sounds like it's in trouble, the way Dan is putting it. Is it?
Well, Dan, is that what you're saying? Because I don't hear that.
Well, what I'm saying very specifically it's like, think about it, Tim. I mean, right now here, it's like every problem that could be a problem for this company is right in front of them. And who knows how long all this stuff is going to stick around. So I think touchy-feely things about talking about your employees or this or that or whatever, they're going to go to like kiosks and all that sort of stuff. That's happening. So that's just that's just lip service. You know what I mean? So I just think they have major cost issues here.
Well, they do, and they're not going to go away overnight, as we talked about earlier in the show. But Howard Schultz has talked about his workers and his audience like this forever. I just think the greatest thing Starbucks has is their brand and their loyalty. People will go out of their way. To me, by the way, love the 86th Street Madison Starbucks. They're great. But, you know, you get a case where you've got a store that, to me, stands alone at a time when I think largely the customer for Starbucks needs to be treated differently, and I think they have that loyalty. That's the power of what Starbucks could reinforce.
But even that store, Tim, will you still continue to go there and buy coffee if that store starts to charge you $6 for what you normally pay $4 for? No,
but they can charge me $4 for a drip, which is $1 more than they charged me probably a year ago, if I get good service and I get the sense that the store is well run. And I think people are willing to pay for that luxury. We talk about this all the time. Right. A cup of coffee is not going to break the bank. People are letting prices drift higher. Starbucks is nailing you with it, but I just think the brand feels out of control right now. And the stock feels out of control if, in fact, they're no longer delivering the kind of growth and the kind of predictability to earnings.
To your point about the younger, new, hipper CEO, if they had that person, we'd see him. I know they desperately want that person. I don't know what happened in the interim between the 1 year and I'll leave and this. This is a Band-Aid, a great Band-Aid maybe, but a Band-Aid.
Right, till maybe they can find that person.